Well, hello out there. Jillian and I are so excited to be here with you. Welcome to Media Mavens Talk. We are your Media Mavens, my friend Jillian Whitney and myself, Annette Richmond. And we're so happy to have you here. We will just chat a bit amongst ourselves as we are waiting for people to join us. And, we picked this topic because it's what we hear all the time, right, Jillian? Talk a little bit about people not being comfy on camera.
Oh, well, basically it happens to all of us. And it's one of those things that we think only happens to us. But I'm telling you, we all struggle with video. We all struggle with getting in front of the camera. Nobody is just born with a cell phone in their hand and a ring light. We don't come onto the planet like that. And it's all about you just have to do it in baby steps and get used to it. And there's tips and tricks that we can suggest for anybody who's struggling, but just know you are not alone. We all have to hold hands and get comfy on camera together.
I know. I put off doing video for years because I wanted to be, thinner and younger and better looking. And then eventually, once I started doing it, I just don't think about it anymore. So I just want to mention a few housekeeping details. First of all, we are recording this. So if you do not wish to be recorded, we try to invite people up and call you by your first name only. But we just want to let you know that we are recording it and we will be sharing a link to the recording after the session, after we do a little technical jump roping here, and we are putting it up on YouTube as well. If you are new to Audio Rooms, you will see at the bottom of your screen the microphone that you can mute and unmute. When you do come up on the stage, if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone because there's always all kinds of noise going on in the background. For me, it's two big dogs that like to bark a lot. And if you would like to give a reaction, you will see a little face on the bottom with the reactions, just like you would any place else on LinkedIn. If somebody says something that you think is smart, you may applaud. And also, if you do wish to come up on the stage, if you click, I'm trying to see now, where is the hand raising on here? I believe it's under the reactions, but I'm not seeing it. Jillian, can you help me out here? I'm not seeing the raised hands on here. Maybe because we're on the show.
I think because we're on
Yeah,
the
because
stage,
we're on the show.
so
Okay, so if you wish to join us on the stage, we do love to have conversation. Jillian and I are friends. We could sit up here for hours talking about this, but we like this to be a conversation with you all down in the audience. So if you look down on the bottom, you will see a place where you can raise your hand. Please do that if you wish to join us on the stage and share either ask a question or share your experience or tip. We would love to have that. So Jillian, why don't you kick us off and give us, just a couple of tips for people that are, nervous and don't want to be on camera that may make them change their mind a little bit while waiting for people to come up and join us on the stage.
Okay, so here's a quick tip based on something that happened this week. So I always recommend people practice in private. You don't have to make your first video has to go out on social media. It's like the more you do video, the more comfortable you'll be, but you can do it in baby steps. And I had a situation this week where somebody made an introduction to somebody else in their network, and they sent me a lovely DM, and they said, hi, Jillian, this person is interested in doing video. They're very nervous about doing video, and I suggested that they connect with you. So I took that opportunity to send a video message back. Anybody knows me knows I love voice notes. I love DMs. So I love text. I love voice notes. But to me, a video always takes it up a notch. And I sent a video, and I was actually at physical therapy. I was sitting in the car at physical therapy, was waiting for my sister to come out of physical therapy. And I thought, why don't I just go ahead and make a video and send it as a greeting in response to this introduction in the DMs. And I didn't have any makeup on. I was sitting in the car. I had sunglasses, but I just recorded a short 1-minute video. And I just kind of like, hello, Beth, just wanted to tell you I'm glad to meet you. And this is an example of an easy way to do video. And the response was incredible. She said, wow, I had an image that video had to be this big Hollywood production. So it just kind of shows you that the paradigm shift can be start small, just sending somebody a DM. I always go the extra steps and actually caption my videos in the DMs, but that's me. I just like to make sure my videos are accessible. But that's an easy way to get started with feeling comfortable on camera.
Yeah, I love that. And you're actually the person who kind of taught me and prompted me to do those video messages. And I do them too. I mean, it depends on the I sort of say level of dishevelment in me. I mean, I video message you when I've gotten up in the morning and haven't brushed my hair yet, but I wouldn't obviously do that to everyone, certainly not to a potential client. But yeah, I love that too. And, video, the thing about it is it's the quickest way to develop that know, like, and trust factor that we know everyone, it looks for. People like to work with and hire people they know and people they like. That's an old saying. And the reason we're still saying it probably 100 years after the first person said it is because it is true. And I think video is really the next best thing. And again, we please do, and we invite you to come up on the stage and join us for some conversation. Raise your hand and I will bring you up whenever you do that. So, Jillian, I want to say one thing too, that practicing video, you can do it on your phone, right? Just record videos and just get used to looking at yourself doing them. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, pick up your video and, just don't send it to anybody. Just get comfortable doing those videos to yourself. If you're out walking the dog and maybe you're standing in the park for a couple of minutes, you could just whip out your phone and make a video and say, I think I want to talk about the dream I had last night. It could be just something very low stakes with that, of getting comfortable and then afterwards watching it and seeing how you did and just getting comfortable with that. But one of the biggest tools that I recommend on LinkedIn that people don't realize is there is the on the jobs tab in LinkedIn. If you go to the top of your screen, you see the jobs tab. There is something called interview prep. Now, this was primarily designed for people who wanted to practice their job interview skills, but we can all use this. And what it is it's basically prompts of, tell me about your strengths, or tell me about, what the last customer you spoke with, or, there are all these little prompts, and you can do a video and you can do it over and over and over again and save them in a library. And nobody sees this but you. It's your own private practice library. And it has AI to give you feedback. So it'll tell you, you were talking too fast, you were talking too slow, you used too many filler words, you weren't using inclusive language. Like, it does a lot of different things. And if you so chose, you could even turn around and forward that video to a colleague for who's connected to you. It has to be a first level connection, and get their feedback. And just say, hey, John, what do you think? I'm practicing this question. What do you think? And then maybe John would watch it and say, well, Jillian, you talked a little bit too fast. But it is a fabulous tool. You can use it on the free plan, any plan. Highly recommend it. Jobs tab, interview prep. It's over on the left side.
Yes, I love that. I recommend that to people too. It's a great place if you want to, practice your elevator pitch when you get up at a networking event and you say, "Hi, I'm Annette Richmond and I blah blah blah." It's a great way to practice that. But whenever I use the job interviewer, It always says, hey, you say too many ums and ahs, and I cringe. But, what can you do? That's me, and I'm working on it. So I want to thank two lovely people from the audience who have joined us on stage. I'd like to welcome Marcia first to speak. Thanks so much for joining us. Do you have a question or maybe a tip that you'd like to share?
Hello, everybody. So thank you, my video queen Maven, Jillian W. Jillian has taught me so much about the video thing, but since I've been on her platform, I just been coming as myself. And I did a video for Tony the other week, Jillian, and I didn't like how the first one looked, so I had to say, no, I don't like it. So sometimes, you do go back and forth, and I'm watching my mannerisms. So you have taught me so much about that and how to use CapCut and use the captions, because before that I was a video idiot. So thank you for helping me grow.
You're marvelous, Marcia, and I love that you sent me that video message the other day, and it was captioned, and I was like, woo, woo, woo. So I'm cheering you on. You're amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the stage. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the stage and sharing that with you. But I have to say, nobody calls themselves an idiot here. No, nobody calls themselves anything bad, because we are all doing our best, and we got to be good with that. So thank you so much, Marcia. And Shannon, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have a question, or I'm thinking you probably have a tip or two to share?
Yeah, thanks for hosting this. This is a great topic, and I would love to share a tip or two, because this is something near and dear to my heart with being a public speaking coach, that I get so many people. First of all, the ums and ahs, had to giggle about that, and that you and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago and some tips for that. But I hear a lot from my clients and people I work with that they hate seeing and hearing themselves, or they're really nervous or embarrassed to be on camera. And part of that is because we see all these other people and we compare ourselves to them. And the biggest thing I want to tell you is, don't ever compare yourself to others. You are uniquely you. You are perfect the way you are. You don't need to compete with other people, and just own that and love that. And we sound differently when we hear ourselves back, because these little bones in our ears make us sound differently when we're listening back than when we're hearing ourselves in our own head. And so a lot of people go, I hate what I sound like, and I hate watching myself because of that, or I'm so awkward. Well, you're not awkward. Other people like hearing the sound of your voice. So share your message. We should all have the confidence that we have a special message to share with the world. We do what we do for a reason. We share our love and our tips and our information and whatever it is that we have to share with the world for a reason. And they're listening to us for a reason. And it's not about being perfect, and it's not about being buttoned up in a special way. It's just about having the bravery to get out there and do it. And to get that bravery, you first need to tell yourself that you are good enough, that you do believe in yourself, that you deserve to be heard and share your message with the world. And so that's why I wanted to hop on and just say that I see a lot of these confidence issues and work with people that have fear around these things a lot. And a lot of it is because the stories we're telling ourselves, and we're being our own worst critics. And if you flip the script and start changing those into positive messages, you're going to build that confidence to get back out there. And just, Jillian, I love what you said. Just do it. Just get out there. It's not about looking perfect and sounding perfect. Just do it.
Well, I love that you said that, Shannon. And, one of the things that I try to remember and remind myself of, and I'm glad that you brought up the idea that it's really about the message, and we're getting a lot of love for the things that you were saying coming up from the audience. Because one of the things that I learned from another speaker coach probably 20 years ago when I first started doing presentations is people are not looking at you. They don't care what you look like or what you sound like. I think I sound like a chipmunk on audio, but again, that's me. They're only interested in the message. Is your message relevant to them? And if it is, That's all that's important. And, you know, I know you agree with that, Jillian, but add your 25 cents in here or a dollar.
It's so true. It's like when we start thinking about what are they thinking about me, you're in the wrong frame of mind, because it really should be about the audience. How is my message resonating for this audience? Am I being clear? Am I being helpful? Is it valuable content? So the more that we're going, oh, they don't like my hair, they don't like my eyes, they don't like my nose, then you're in the wrong frame of mind. And also, too, following up on what Shannon said about not liking the way that we sound and not liking the way we look, one thing to keep in mind is we're used to looking in the mirror. Every morning we get up, we look in the mirror, we brush our teeth. At the end of the day, we look in the mirror, we brush our teeth again. We're constantly looking in the mirror. And so we have become accustomed to a reversed image of ourselves. And yet when we see ourselves on video, we're seeing the unreversed image, and it doesn't look right to us. So the more you can, and I know for some people this is really, really hard, but the more that you can do video and begin watching yourself on video, you become accustomed to the way the rest of the world sees us. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's why it looks odd to us, because we're used to the reversed image that we see in the mirror. So I hope that kind of helps everybody see, why do I look so odd?
Wow, that is a big aha moment for me. I never thought about it like that. And perhaps that is the reason why, that I've told other people, if you do a half a dozen or a dozen videos, you just don't think about it anymore. And maybe it's just what you said, the fact that we get used to seeing ourselves the way everybody else does. And, and then it doesn't bother us. So I see you unmuted, Jillian. Go ahead.
And just also, too, we're not symmetrical. So, if you were to draw an imaginary line, down from the top of your head to the bottom of your chin through your nose, you're not an exact match. You usually have one eye bigger than the other. Your lip might tilt down or something. So that, again, can be what looks odd. It's like, even if you do that, I know I play around with my Bitmojis in Canva, and sometimes I'll flip it around because I just prefer the Bitmoji looking the other way. And Bitmojillian doesn't even look right. And she's a cartoon character. So if she looks weird, then I definitely look weirder than her.
Oh my goodness. I do love that. And that is going to stick with me. That is really something, and it makes perfect sense. But I will have to say one thing before I just thank you, Forrest, for joining us on the stage before I turn the mic over to you. I remember going to the dentist during the pandemic, and my dentist telling me that he had a real uptick in business, cosmetic dentistry, because people were on Zoom all the time and they were looking at themselves all the time. And they were so upset with the way that they looked that they were in there having their teeth whitened and brightened and adjusted and whatever. So, it was a big uptick in business for my dentist. So Forrest, thank you for joining us on the stage. Do you have a question or something that you'd like to add to our conversation?
Yeah, hi, Annette. And I just wanted to say this is a fascinating conversation. I kind of bouncing in and out because I'm about to board an airplane, but I wanted to just sort of build on what I heard Shannon and I think it was Jillian also say, especially Jillian when she was talking about getting used to seeing yourself on camera. In my personal anecdote that relates to that, it wasn't that it wasn't going to stop me, but I just never liked the way I looked on camera until I practiced. And I got used to seeing myself, whether it was reversed or whatever. And I think there's a bit of a danger there for people who nitpick on themselves, because, you could nitpick yourself and get caught in a rabbit hole there by looking at yourself on video. But if you're not, wired like that, you just get used to seeing yourself on camera. And like you said, or somebody said, the concerns kind of tend to vanish. So I really like what they had to say.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that. And, it's always great to hear somebody back up what we're saying, because I know Jillian and I both tell people I'm known in one of the organizations I belong to as the video nag. I'm always pushing people to do video. And we tell people over and over again, if you do it, if you just do it, you'll just get over yourself. And so, hearing somebody else also say that is much, much appreciated by both of us. So I just want to mention again, as we are getting close to the halfway point here, not quite, but that we are recording this. So we will be sharing the recording with you all in a link after we go through a little technical switcheroo, and you will be able to listen to the replay only. And Jillian, when I think about being, comfy on camera, I think part of it for me is being comfortable in my duds. I have my clothes that I wear when I do video, and I feel very comfortable and confident with, feel comfortable and more confident when I'm kind of feel like I'm in my, I'm ready. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe in a video uniform. So, for instance, I love doing LinkedIn Live. So I love doing live video, which in my opinion, this sounds crazy to a lot of people, but live video is actually easier than recorded video because you can't be perfect. It's beyond being perfect. Live, anything can happen, so you just have to go with it. But there's a lot of forgiveness in that. You just go, oops, I said the wrong thing. Who cares? Move on. It's much easier. But when I do a live, I have a uniform. I always wear a black shirt. I never not. I have like 5. I have 5 black shirts. I have long sleeve shirts and short sleeve shirts, but I always wear a black shirt because that's my video uniform. I always have, I try to have everything set up for those type of things. And then you don't have any surprises, because there's nothing worse than watching. And this is actually what caused me to create my video uniform, is I was once watching a very well-known marketing personality, and he was doing a video, and all of a sudden he kept changing his shirt, and I realized what it was that he had done his video by doing one line at a time, which is an awesome way to do videos. If you don't want to record a whole, I can't memorize everything and I don't feel comfortable. Yes, recording one line at a time and then stitching that together as a video really works well. But unfortunately, this guy didn't realize that he was wearing a checkered shirt, and then he was wearing a blue shirt. And it was like, it kept changing. And it was very jarring looking at this, and I thought, I don't think he even noticed this. And so I started, and then in the same week, I heard somebody saying, I can't remember if I wore this outfit in the video or this outfit in my last video. And she was so stressed out about what she was wearing. And I thought, why don't you just wear one thing? It's kind of like Star Trek, right? They all show up in their shirts, their Star Trek shirts. And so I decided I would just always wear black, and then I never have to think about it. So that's my video duds.
Oh my goodness, I was just about falling on the floor laughing with that. I cannot believe that. I do the same thing. I have 2 or 3 black shirts, and they're all exactly the same. And I wear those whenever I do a LinkedIn live show when I'm the host. I also do that because I don't want to be distracting from whatever my guest is wearing. But I do try to break it up occasionally when I'm a guest on somebody else's show. But oh my goodness. One of the things, and I'm glad that you mentioned the one line at a time, because that's kind of what I do and what I recommend other people do. Because, if you're recording one line at a time and you make a mistake, you don't have to worry about having to redo the whole video. I used to do that before I did a little video training myself, where I would record something and then you make a mistake and then you have to go back and you have to record it again. And that's how people end up spending hours making a 3-minute video. So I'm a big advocate of recording one line at a time. And I know that this is something I think we disagree on, is I also like to use scripts, not for my long form. If I'm on camera or off camera and I'm demonstrating how to do something, I just go along with, whatever I'm saying, the instructions. But if I'm doing a short form video, particularly I do a lot on TikTok, and I want to stay, a minute or under a minute, I do use a script because I find that helps keep me on track. And I think we disagree on this, but I'm going to wait and let me hear it right from you directly, Jillian.
Well, as a Toastmaster, I would just say that the only problem I can see when you have a script is if you feel compelled to read from it, because we like public speaking. We don't like public reading. So we don't want to hear you, go ahead. And for instance, I know Shannon, she works a lot in the TEDx industry. She is a TEDx speaker herself. I'm sure she didn't just wing it. I'm sure that like TED people, they get up, they have that down pat. But again, they're not reading it. So it has to be practiced and out loud. You have to really know what you're saying and have that all the way through. I think it always just comes down to clarity of thought before you hit that record button, because nobody wants to hear you ramble. So having that idea, I just don't I don't like teleprompters. And I don't like public reading, or you're kind of looking over and trying to memorize everything. So that's my only thing. I agree with you. It's good to have an idea of what you're saying. I go for bullet points myself, but that's just me. Everybody's got to do what's right for them.
Well, I am with you 100%. And if I'm doing some kind of a presentation, I am certainly, with the bullet points. I'm just talking about if I'm recording one line at a time and I'm writing it exactly the way I speak it. I'm not writing it formal or using bigger words or whatever. So Jillian, I'm going to let you jump back on. And then Shannon has a comment. And then I'm going to go to Tessa, who has joined us on the stage. So Jillian.
So the only thing I wanted to follow up with that is, like, one of the things that they taught us in Toastmasters is whenever you're doing a speech, especially if you're trying to do a speech for a contest, so you have to have your timing down perfectly and really well organized, is that they would always suggest memorize the introduction, memorize the conclusion, word for word. You should be able to, like, wake up in the middle of the night and it just pops out of your mouth. And then the middle of your speech, you can have a little bit of fluidity. You have your bullet points. And if you say this word versus this word, it's not a big deal. It's going to flow. But they've always said, memorize that intro, memorize the conclusion, so that then you are always, boom, you got it from the get-go. So maybe Shannon can talk about that too later.
Yeah, go ahead, Shannon, if you want to add something, and then I'll hand the mic to Tessa.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. This is a particular topic very near and dear to my heart, because for people that have public speaking anxiety, which is the majority of the population out there, memorizing and reading word for word actually increases your anxiety, because you're worried about missing a line, you're worried about missing a word, you're worried about saying it just so, and it makes you more anxious. So if you're already anxious about being on camera or on stage, that's just going to elevate that anxiety. And I too push for bullet points. I actually teach my clients how to use what I call a speech roadmap or a presentation roadmap, and then practice with that. And if you practice with that, like you mentioned, my TEDx, I didn't memorize that. To Jillian's point, I got that opening down cold, those first couple lines, because if you can just come out of the gate with those and you know what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, it's going to feed into the rest of it. And then if you've created this roadmap for yourself of these key points that you need to hit and the order you need to hit them in, and then practiced that, it may come out slightly different every single time, and it actually should come out slightly different every single time. But as long as you're getting across the essence and the meaning of the message you're conveying, it doesn't need to be perfect and it doesn't need to be exact. And to the point of recording line by line, we have so many great tools nowadays like Canva and stuff, where what I'll do if I'm recording even a 20 or 30 minute presentation, first I'll practice it several times through before I actually hit that record button, so that I've got it down and I start to feel comfortable with it. And then if I mess up when I'm recording, I pause my speech, I say cut, and then I pause again, and then I start speaking. And what that does is when I go to edit the video, I'll like throw it in Canva or something, I'll look for that point in the video where I say cut, and I'll just snip that little piece out and keep it going. And that makes it really easy to find those little mess ups if it's a pre-recorded video type of situation. So the key here is, I agree with Jillian, bullet points. There's place and time for teleprompter or exact, but most of the time it's more conversational, and you connect better with the audience if you keep it more to bullet points, a roadmap, and more conversational in nature. That gives you less anxiety and freedom to move about too.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm sorry, Jillian, go ahead.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes, of course.
That was perfect, Shannon. Thank you so much. And just to add into Shannon's idea of, saying cut, absolutely record for the edit, folks. Pause between when you're moving ideas so that when later you get back into the editor, you've actually shut your mouth, so you don't have to, it makes it easier to edit. You're like, oh, okay, I stopped speaking there. So that was really good. And also too, when you say cut, clap your hands, because if you clap your hands, then later you will see the spike on the audio track and you'll know exactly where that cut was. Just makes life so much easier. So record for the edit and clap those hands.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I do that as well. If I'm recording something that's a long video or something, I do that. If I make a mistake, I pause, I clap my hands, and that way I can see it on the video. It's very easy to see, and I can also see the spike in the recording. And again, I must say, when I say one line at a time, I'm talking about a video that's like a minute long. I'm not talking about giving a presentation and memorizing it word for word. I don't do that either. I use bullet points if I'm speaking for more than like 2 minutes. So, Tessa, thank you so much for joining us on the stage, my friend. Do you have a question or something that you'd like to add?
Hi, Annette. I'm so happy to be here. At your advice, I've been kind of watching a whole bunch of other podcast speakers and then just watching videos in general to kind of get myself more comfortable with it. And I've noticed a lot of them are just completely in their element because I mainly work with parents and moms, and they're showing the full shebang, like dishes all over the place, flour all over the place. I guess my essential question is, how comfortable or how real should you really be on video? Granted, these moms that I'm watching, it makes it to where I'm connecting. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there, but I'm trying to come across as a professional that can help you not be there.
Well, I would say it very much depends on what you are doing. I watched my friend Brenda Meller did a LinkedIn Live where she was actually baking a pie a couple of weeks ago, and she was in the kitchen baking, but that's not the norm. But I will let my friend Jillian jump in here and share her advice.
I think it depends on your audience. So you should always remember, when you're making a video, you are not making a video for the entire LinkedIn population. And I think we feel that. We feel that stress. It's like, oh, it's going on LinkedIn. 90 million billion people are going to see this. So you have to think about your avatar. Who is your ideal customer? So if I was a chef, I'd probably want to, if my target market was, I was trying to reach out to other chefs or something, I'd probably be wanting to make a video in my kitchen, and I would be wanting to use all my equipment and that sort of thing. So I think it's always based upon who is your ideal client and what are they going to relate to, and also what are you comfortable with. I know a lot of people do walk and talk videos. I could never do those because I can barely chew gum and walk. I just don't have the ability to multitask. And if I was doing those kind of walk and talk videos, I'd be in traffic, I'd hit a pole. It would be not pretty at all. But for other people, they are so anxious that they say, I have to move around. Maybe they're kinesthetic learners themselves and they have to be moving, whereas I like to sit down. Other people like to record standing up. So I think take those two things. Who's my ideal customer? What are they looking for in terms of my locale from where I'm shooting from? And then the second thing is, how am I comfortable in this space? Because if you're not comfortable, it will show in your videos. So always make sure your comfort comes first.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you said about, it depends on who your audience is and being comfortable with what you're doing. And one of the things it made me think about is the idea of using a virtual background. Now, I used a virtual background for quite a long time. It was just something that, I don't know, I saw people doing it on television and I started doing it myself. And then I had a conversation. I had a speaker, an international speaker on my show, and I was asking her about it, and she recommended that I stop using the virtual background, that when you do use that, it sets up a wall between you and the audience. And, people just kind of don't like that. It makes you feel, you seem less authentic to them. Now, obviously, you don't want to shoot a video in front of your unmade bed, but what are your thoughts on that, Jillian, as far as having the virtual background?
Well, I can't use a virtual background because I have curly hair. Anybody with curly hair cannot use a virtual background because you look like you blend right in. It looks so weird and looks so goofy. I would just say, again, do what's comfortable for you. I know that sometimes people, their virtual background might be branded. So for instance, Jeff Young, he loves to use his virtual background. He comes on my LinkedIn Lives a lot, and he has Superman, kind of ripping off his shirt, and he's got the Superman outfit. And I just wouldn't know Jeff without that virtual background, because otherwise Jeff is sitting in his home office. His poor wife sits in the background behind him. So I'm of the mindset of do what's right for you. I don't know so much if it creates a feeling of, I suppose maybe with job hunting, you could kind of get that feeling of like, okay, well, we don't really know where you are. So maybe the thing is tone it down. You don't necessarily have to have the beach and palm trees waving in the background with your virtual background. And I've seen people do that where you're just like, really? You're using the whole beach and the wind flying, and it's kind of a strange thing. If you're job hunting, I think that would send the wrong message.
Well, I agree with you as far as I think for in the first place, people should just do what they're comfortable with and do it like what they feel is right for them. And yes, I love to see Jeff. He comes on my show a lot too with the background with the Superman. And though you all can't see it, Jillian and I are wearing our Media Mavens capes as we are talking here to you. So we have those on, sort of waving in the background behind us. And we wear those every time we do these events. So, I agree with you. I think it does obviously depend, and whether or not you're working with clients or you're meeting with clients as far as that goes. So as we are rounding up, we are 20 minutes until the end of our show. I want to invite people who are out in the audience. I'm very big on not calling people out by name, but I do see some people that I know in the audience. So please do feel free to come up and chat with us. We can keep talking and talking, but the goal here, part of what we love about audio events, is the fact that we're having a conversation. And, another thing, maybe we could talk a little bit, Jillian, about equipment. Now, when I'm doing a LinkedIn Live, obviously I'm sitting at my desk, but when I'm recording my short form videos for LinkedIn or TikTok or, YouTube Reels, I use my phone. And that's what I do most of my recording on, unless I'm either doing a live show or I'm doing something that's how to and I'm demonstrating on my computer. So that's my process. But what is yours, Jillian? I think yours might be a little different than mine.
I use a combination of, I have a laptop, which sometimes I go, how do I have a laptop when other people have mission control, 5 monitors and, all sorts of different things. I go live with one single laptop. That's all I ever use. I don't have any kind of monitors, nothing. And then when I'm making short videos, for instance, whenever I make a DM video message for somebody, just a video message that I send in a LinkedIn DM, I use my phone for that. And it's very, very quick to just take my video, pop it into CapCut, which is a free program everybody can use. And then I put on the captions and I upload it to LinkedIn, because you can only use your LinkedIn app on the phone to send a video message. Now, there is a cheat for people who are totally resistant and hate using their phones. You can actually still use a program like Loom, and that's spelled Loom, or Vidyard, or even Vimeo Record, and you can record a video on your laptop computer and then send it as a link to somebody in a LinkedIn DM. So, if you're not a mobile user, you can still do that. But I'm like you, Annette, you have to use multiple things nowadays. Now, what I do say to people is, if tech is a challenge for you, look for programs that integrate well together. So, for instance, Shannon talked about Canva. Now, Canva is a great little program. Actually, it's more than a little program. Canva's just like, it's the kingdom now. Like, there's so many things you can do with Canva. But the nice thing about Canva is, say you recorded a video on your phone and you wanted to get it into Canva and you wanted to work on it using your desktop computer or your laptop computer. And you might be sitting there saying, okay, so how do I get the video off my phone? Well, guess what? All you have to do is open up the Canva app on your phone, import the video, and then if you go and open Canva on your desktop, guess what's sitting there waiting for you? That video. So use tools that have a desktop version and also have a version on your phone, mobile device, because that just makes your life a lot easier. So we all struggle with tech. Find the cheats that help you not have to do too much fiddling around.
Yes, I agree with you. And I recently did some work for a client where I went to an event and I shot a bunch of videos, and I had to bring them up on Canva to edit them together and cut out parts. And it was just much easier to do it on Canva than it would have been to do them on my phone. And, one of the things too, and I'm glad you mentioned CapCut, because there are so many free apps on our phones. Now, I love Clips. I've been using it for a long time, but for some reason lately, the captioning is not working on Clips. So, but there's Clips, there's CapCut, there's, I think, Clipchamp, but, I like CapCut as well. And one of the things, if you are wanting to do videos for TikTok, if you record and edit on CapCut, or even practice your editing on CapCut, TikTok and CapCut are owned by the same company. So if you go into TikTok, the captioning is all of the editing is very much the same. So that's just something to keep in mind if you want to, make videos for TikTok. And go ahead, Jillian.
I was just going to add too that Clipchamp. I like to use Clipchamp on my phone. That's a good one for doing captions. But Clipchamp also has a desktop tool. And if you have a Microsoft account, you can use it for, actually anybody can use it for free. But if you have a Microsoft account, like Office or whatever, you can actually even have additional features that are like above the free plan that you would have to normally pay for. You can get free if you have a Microsoft email account like Outlook or whatever. But anyways, one of the nice things about Clipchamp is it is like a 1080p HD video editor on the free plan, which is like, it boggles your mind that you can have that kind of quality. But this is my favorite part. They have a thing that if you wanted to bring in, and you're using this on the desktop, if you wanted to bring in a video from your phone, they have the.
We just lost you, Jillian. We just lost your sound.
Oh, there she is.
I have a couple. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's fine. I muted you before, Shannon, because you were unmuted, and I heard background noise.
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of them that I would suggest. One is Share Unique Converter, and they have a free version, and it makes it really easy to trim, compress, change file types from maybe an MPEG to an MP4 or a .mov to an MP4. It's really wonderful, and it does it in HD. And then if you use Adobe products, they have Premiere Pro and Premiere Rush. Unless you're super into video editing, Premiere Pro is very overwhelming. I like Premiere Rush, which is the lighter version. And I have not used it yet, but I know Zoom has released a light video editor for trimming and editing your videos now too.
Yeah, I think everybody is kind of jumping on that bandwagon now. I know Jillian and I both use StreamYard for our LinkedIn live shows, and you can do some editing in there. And also even TikTok now, if you go to upload, because you can use TikTok on your app, but you can also, they have a desktop app that you can use. And if you go to upload something that's longer, maybe 10 minutes or so, because you can, they're getting into longer videos, it will ask you if you want to separate it, and it will split up the video into little bits. So there are so many different things that do that. I know, Jillian, you split up videos on Canva, right? I think you do your little video clips there.
No, I actually use a program called Capwing or Kapwing, and I love using that one because it allows you to just, very easily, it's kind of like Descript in that you can do a manual edits, with your just going through and putting like little cuts and stuff like that. But it also now has a transcription tool. So you upload your video, and I like it because it's an online based, it's a Chrome based, it's Chrome. It's a Chrome-based video editing tool. So there's nothing to download. You're working, everything's in the cloud, and you bring in your video, and it actually makes a transcript of the video. And so if you don't want something, you just go ahead and highlight what you don't want, and it just cuts it for you automatically. It's just so easy, and it's got so many great features. But the nice thing is it also does the captioning inside, and that is a really important thing for people to think about, is pick the tools that are easy to use, because otherwise you're just setting the bar too high. I have never used any Adobe products like Premiere Pro, and I don't use those because my theme is video easy peasy. So I've always tried to use things. I think the most complicated thing I use is probably Camtasia, and I've been using Camtasia for so long, I can't stop using it because I have too many files that are already in Camtasia. But that's not something I want to teach my clients to use because it has a longer learning curve. But something like Capwing, if you can go and edit your video and put your captions all in the same tool, that just makes life so much easier. And then you can just export it and then get back on with your life.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. I use Camtasia too, and I've had Camtasia for more than a decade. And, they do have a fabulous library of tutorials, video tutorials on Camtasia. And I do love it, but it's a little pricey to buy, I think, if you haven't been using it and you're not just doing the upgrades. And again, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that I was working with either, but it's kind of a workhorse, and they do keep improving it. And I just want to mention, I recently learned about another platform called Riverside that actually will clip up your videos. So there is that. So we are just about 10 minutes away. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to come up and join us, now is the time, as we will be saying goodbye shortly. And a reminder that we are recording this, and we will be sharing the recording with you all in a link in the comments not as soon as, but as soon as I can turn the technology around, we will be sharing that with you. And I do want to announce one thing while we are all here, that our November Media Mavens will be on November 22nd. So please do mark that down in your calendars, November 22nd. we are going to be back for our next Media Mavens Speak or Media Mavens Talk. So thank you so much, John, for coming up on stage. And
Excuse me, Annette,
yes,
before you get started, the 22nd is Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, no, it's not. Bye.
No, it's not. It's a Wednesday because we do it on a Wednesday. Okay, cool. So John, you were the first one to pop up on the stage. Please, either if you have a question or something that I'm sure a tip that you'd like to share.
Hi there, Annette. Yeah, I just heard you talking about Camtasia. I'm a big fan of that too. But to go back to what you were saying right at the top of the room, I think Gillian might have said it, it's just doing lots of practice, even for no particular reason, and doing it in private or with people you trust is just a great way to get started. I threw myself in with a 30-day live video challenge. This is many years ago, and it helped me get over all of my fears in a month. It was kind of sink or swim. It was tough at the time, but it's second nature to me now. So, and any way that you can do as much practice as possible, especially with sympathetic ears around, is a good way to go for it.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
I love that, John. And I agree with you. Find the way that you can practice. I know that I have a couple of friends who are across the pond from me, and we have WhatsApp conversations. So we've taken our conversations outside of LinkedIn. We use WhatsApp. And I have one friend in particular that just wanted to become more comfortable on video. And so we just started sending videos to each other, sort of like, good morning, here's what's going on in my day, just very casual conversations, nothing that we would ever post on social media. And within a couple of weeks, just the comfort level of being able to just whip out your phone, send a message to somebody, and without even thinking about it, did wonders for her. So it's just amazing. Just get out of that box, and we can just do so many great things with video.
Well, I love that you mentioned that, and I think I know who you're talking about, a mutual friend of ours, so who is really quite lovely on video. And so I'm probably mispronouncing your name. I didn't see it on your profile, the pronunciation. So is it Shabam? Is that?
That is correct, Anna. Thank you very much for having me. So my question, so it is Shubham. So my question is revolving around, generations. So about 10 years ago, I was teaching, and an 8-year-old came up to me, and she had to do some sort of presentation. So I said, hey, you should, record it or have it. And it's like, silly Mr. Shubham, I just record my video and I watch it. And if I'm comfortable, I do it, right? And that got me thinking that a decade ago, an 8-year-old had this ability or understanding to record themselves and be comfortable and able to present in front of everyone. But then I've been part of many of these LinkedIn audio sessions, and particularly, where a lot of Toastmasters would speak and give you advices. So the question or what I'm still pondering about is that why people still struggling to be comfortable on front of the camera. It seems like the trend is same. They're anxious, anxiety, fear, judgment, so on and so forth. But one common ground I found that they failed themselves without even trying. Sometimes I ask, hey, how many times have you practiced? 0. So could you shed some light on this for me, please?
Well, I would have to say one of the biggest thing is we compare ourselves to other people. So if we see other people doing video really well, that's the bar that we're setting for ourselves, and that's not fair. It's like we have to go and just be willing to suck at video before we can get better. And a lot of people, they're not comfortable with that. They want to be professional from the minute they get out of the gate, and that's not going to happen. We can't all dance either. I can't dance for the life of me, but I had to learn to crawl before I could walk, and when I walked, I could run, and so on and so on. It's just got to be done in those little steps. So I think number one, we have incredible self-critics in our head, living in our head, telling us, who are you to make a video? Who are you to talk about this? We are our own worst enemy. And it's getting away from that self-doubt. And if you set this mindset, and I do this all the time, I say, if I have an idea to talk about something on video, there's somebody out there that needs to hear it. And I just go ahead and make the video. And I don't care about the vanity metrics. I don't say, oh, my video didn't perform well, I have to delete it. I don't do that. I just say, this was my message. This is what I felt I needed to say. Somebody out there, I think, needs to hear it. And I've just put it out into the world. And then I've released it. And I think if we could do more of that and then get rid of those critics. If you see something that says, if you say to yourself, who am I to talk to about this? Maybe you need to just rephrase that and say, who am I to not talk about this? Somebody needs to hear it. So you just have to keep flipping all that negative scripts. But I think most of us are walking around and we've got some really evil people living in our own heads.
That is so true. We would never speak to anyone the way we speak to ourselves. At least I know that, for me, you never would say the things that we say to ourselves. And for people up there, if you're raising your hand and it's taking me a minute to get you up, I'm sorry. Sometimes I have to click a couple of times and LinkedIn is not as responsive. And I think there was a glitch a while ago. LinkedIn froze for me and I had to refresh my screen. So I couldn't hear you and I refreshed the screen and everybody came back. So I guess everything worked out okay. So thank you so much for being here. We are at the end of our hour. And again, we will be back on Wednesday, November 22nd, which is the day before Thanksgiving, but we will be here. And hopefully we will have people here with us. If not, Jillian and I will just hang out and chat together. So no worries on that. And is there anyone, Jillian, did you have anything final that you wanted to say before we say goodbye?
Just do it. That's my biggest message. Just do it. Get comfortable on camera by practicing being uncomfortable on camera. And it's okay to do it in a space that's private and safe for you. And then when you're ready, just share that message with the world because somebody needs to hear what you want to say.
Yeah, I love that. And I always tell people too, if you think you have nothing to say because it's already been said, everything is pretty much already been said. But when we say it, we bring our perspective, we bring our experience, and nobody else is going to say it exactly like we do. And I just want to add one thing when you're talking about engagement. There's something that's sort of a little template sort of that was going around TikTok for a while and people talking about engagement. And the person comes on and they say, oh, I had a video yesterday and it really wasn't performing and I was going to take it down, but I didn't. And I got up this morning and I found out that I had 10 views and that could be you. So leave your content up there. So I think, I always think that's a good reminder that, it's not about the engagement and sometimes people will come back and engage on your content, months later. I know, Jillian, you have mentioned that to me, that people comment months later and you go back and respond to them. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And we will see you again next month and have a great rest of your day. So bye now.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.